Okay. All right. Welcome to episode 2, I guess, or part 2. So we're going to start working on brakes. So the first thing I did is I invested in some 6-ton jack stands. I got 4 of those because you definitely don't want to have this thing sitting on one of these 3-ton jack stands. This is no. That's good. And then we have a larger, I got a 3.5-ton jack from Napa. These were from $600. They were on sale for $300. So I figured, you know what? Probably would have bought it anyway or looked for a used one, but for $300, that's what you need to pick the front of this thing up and really the back of it. Here's my older stands. I have these very heavy duty stands that I use for working on trucks, but they're too tall. So you gotta buy these 6-ton stands, and on all 3 of them except for the outside one, they're in the all the way down position, so they're not gonna collapse. In addition to that, if I'm not gonna be working under the vehicle, if I were, I would probably use my 1.5-ton jack and put it somewhere approximate under the frame to where I was working, just because you just don't want to get crunched. That would be a bad day. And then I, of course, just, stuck that under there. That's going underneath where the trailer hitch connects. More, if anything else, is to provide more stability if I need to go in there and walk around. That's under the trailer hitch, which is underneath that frame section there. So what's nice is I'll also be able to crawl around under here and kind of see what's going on underneath. But underneath of this vehicle looks great. This was a Southern GMC. I know it looks ugly, but the frame's in great shape, and that's one of the things you have to watch out for. But anytime you see the 2 ACs, that tells you that it's from the South, or at least that's where it was delivered initially, because you wouldn't need 2 ACs and something that was sent to New Hampshire. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with these brakes by replacing the master cylinder. Now, I did not drive it home, and once we're up in the air, this wheel spins nice and free. This wheel here spins nice forward, but then kind of locks up going backwards. So we'll obviously, I've got all new drum brakes and springs, and it just wasn't worth. This is of course like that because we've got it all jacked up. I'm feeling really good about my decision to spend a bunch of dough to have it towed back here rather than drive it 70 miles or 80 miles, including over the Bay Bridge, which would not have been good. And of course, without really knowing the state of things, this wheel is really tight. This wheel I can't even move. So right there, and it rolls under power, that would have heated up. That would have been, I might have gotten 10 miles on that, if that, and then we would have had a problem. I mean, it's just locked up. And whether that's the parking brake, or maybe I stepped on the brakes, and these lines we're going to replace, these rubber lines, they collapse inside. Airbag's still holding there. So anyway, we're going to go through all these brakes and make sure we have a nice functional set of brakes. That's job number 1, because we know the engine runs great and motivates it forward, but if you can't stop, then you got a problem. So we're going to go in here and anyway get this master cylinder off. I'm probably not going to be able to open it on camera. Nope, it's going to. Anyway. Oh, there we go. Yay. All right, so we're going to replace this master cylinder for starters. And then I will probably, once that's replaced, just for the fun of it, I'll probably apply the brakes and see what brakes are stopping and which are doing nothing. I do have new lines for everything, but I'm just curious more than anything else to see what brakes would have been working and not working. And then we'll get to, replacing all the lines, the wheel cylinders in the back, and the springs and the clips, all the brake hardware basically. So that we're going to be starting out with aside from the hard lines in the vehicle, and we'll check all these, but rust was not an issue with this thing. It definitely, I think all these hard lines will be fine, but I'll of course inspect them all and certainly replace the rubber hoses though. All right, so here we go. Okay, so here's old nasty master cylinder. I could have maybe cleaned that out and maybe, you know, taken out the little circlip in there and cleaned everything out and used it, and I probably won't throw it away, but you know, when you're, again, that thing's got to stop. So figure, why mess around? I'm gonna be done for today. We've got our new master cylinder in there. There's nothing, this isn't gonna be a video about how to do every piece. There's nothing mysterious about that. Everything on here is 9/16. 9/16, 9/16 back there. Up top, you got a couple 9/16 bolts. Everything came right out, went right in. Very, you know, simple job. That's nice about having one of these older motorhomes. It's, yeah, they need maintenance, but I mean, even a guy like me can do it. So anyway, so now the next thing to do, probably in a different day, but it'll be a seamless video, will be to bleed this up here, and then we'll see what the wheels do, and then we'll go start replacing hoses and shoes and hardware and all that stuff. Okay, so we bled the master cylinder this morning. It's a much more sunshiny day, and what we determined is nothing happening on these wheels. I suspect the hoses are collapsed. This wheel is working. I had one on the other side that was working, so we had 2 out of 6 wheels breaking. We did notice that we've got 2 new parking brake cables. At least these rear cables are new going back to here. Now this is still completely frozen. So the first thing I'm going to try and do is just crack the bleeder back there and see if maybe fluid got pushed through this hose and it's not releasing. We have new hoses here to replace, so we'll see either that or the parking brake is stuck. And it doesn't seem to want to pull or release, so my feeling is that that's probably the problem. Maybe whoever put these cables in, since that other back one also has a new cable and is funny, maybe somebody did something wrong, so we're gonna get to the bottom of that. Okay, so I got the drum off and it's a big mess in there, and what's happening is the even though that cable's newer, it's just not releasing because everything is all gunked up in here, and the cable's probably stiff, but I can sort of tap on that and it'll pull back, so it's not frozen, but it probably needs to be removed and lubricated. So we're going to replace all this. The master cylinder is probably leaking all over the place in there, the wheel cylinder rather. So, and I noticed the outside bearing felt a little grindy, so I might as well get a new outside bearing and a race as well. Inside bearing seemed good enough, so we're gonna leave that, but I think that's it for now, and then I will also order the front parking brake cable sheath, because that one seems kind of old, although that one seems like it's working, so I don't know. Anyway, one wheel at a time. Okay, so we didn't get everything I needed to do the back brake, so I'm doing the front brakes today. I'm replacing these rubber brake hoses. I've done that, and I also replaced this one line in here just because the 3/8 ends were rusted, and so we've got a nice new line here, and then this. And the reason I'm replacing these is, you know, we had talked about driving this home before, and I didn't feel comfortable doing it because it didn't feel like it was really stopping the way it should, and that's because both of these lines are clogged. These brake lines, for some reason now, they never used to do it, but now 50 years later, they're all clogged. So we have air right here. You can see the air blows through. When I put it on the brake line, I get absolutely nothing. So what happens is the insides of these corrode and collapse. So I basically had no front brakes. Now I'll use my power bleeder and done this side over here. This side also has our new, you can see, new brake line on it. So, which is right here, coming around here. So anyway, so that's that. And I'll bleed that side, and then today we're going to come back here and we're going to replace this rubber brake hose assembly, and also clean out this little hole here and fasten. The new lines have a hole in them so you can bolt them to there. So that's what we'll do next. That's new line. That line somebody had put on there, it's a little short, but it'll work initially, and at some point I'll bend one. So that side's done. This side has these line mounting brackets. The other side does not have, so I've called to search for a couple of those, otherwise I'll just make them. Okay, the other thing we've done today is gotten the dinette out. It had been raised up, and anyway, we're just cleaning up here. Now this corner here, the next thing is to get on the roof and seal the roof. But this, although it's black, it's just didn't get rotted. This wallboard behind here, that's gone, and this is gone up here. So I think we can salvage that. We'll probably just bleach that, get rid of that mold. But you know, we gotta seal the roof, the leaks. And it's a little leak here and a little leak there, but after a time, that's what you get. So anyway, good day, progress. And then I guess we talked about this, but I went ahead and bolted this down. So this side has these brake hose brackets. I don't have these on the other side, but this side is done. We've talked about this already. So anyway, a good productive day for this GMC Motorhome.